Hello everyone. This is a quick little video I've thrown together with the aim of seeing how fast I can make a new video from a cold start. In this video, I'll be ranking the pistols in Tarkov while accounting for their hidden stats, which may be of interest to you if you have ever felt that a given pistol feels worse to use than others, but can't quite put your finger on why. So, starting off, of course, we have ergonomics, rate of fire, accuracy, which are all pretty self-evident, and I don't think I need to explain them to you. Of course, we also have our vertical recoil, which is the main focus for most players and comparisons when we're looking at two different weapons. However, one thing that does get a bit interesting is when we get to horizontal recoil, because horizontal recoil does nothing in gameplay terms. Players will assume that it works like this, in that the horizontal recoil controls how much to the left or the right, from your perspective, a weapon will move after shooting. However, it is actually how far backwards the gun moves into your shoulder. Numbers of Tarkov has made a good video about this, and I'll link it in the description below. So, what are these hidden stats? Let's first start with recoil dispersion. This is what you think of as horizontal recoil for a weapon. It is responsible for the left-right drift upon shooting. It cannot be changed by mods and is only reduced by PMC skills. Next, we have the convergence, which controls how fast a weapon will return to center after firing. Higher is of course better. Then we have the recoil angle, which sets the center axis of movement for the vertical recoil. 90 is a straight line up, 0 would be straight right. So, if it is below 90, it goes to the right. If it is above 90, it goes to the left. Last, of course, we have camera recoil. This sets how much the camera recoils upward after each shot. This is independent of the weapon. The popular opinion is that a lower camera recoil is better, though I somewhat think maybe it just needs to align with the vertical recoil to feel good. So if there is a high camera recoil but low actual recoil, or vice versa, that might be why some people feel a bit weird about it, but that's just my opinion. So let's first look at the numbers. As you can see, there's quite a few of them, and it's kind of hard to read. So let's first add some averages and a little bit of color coding to the ergonomics and vertical recoil. Alright, looking better. We can see some clear categories showing already, with some community favorites highlighted in green as you'd expect. Looking at ergonomics, we can see that most hover around 80 base, with the high end at 90 and the low end at 70. Ergo affects your ADS speed quite a bit, so now you know why the Beretta M9 feels so much worse to use than, say, a Glock. For vertical recoil, we have the clear winner in the 5.7, with the PL15 and Glocks running close behind, both of which are significantly lower than other 9mm pistols. Last is the Tokarev, which has an atrocious 650 recoil. Yikes! Recoil dispersion with other weapon types typically has a bit more range to it, but here with pistols there's just two values, 10 and 20, and only one good pistol has 10. What this means is that with two exceptions, every single pistol will recoil left and right to the same degree. So when it comes to compensating for your shots, all you have to do is worry about your upwards recoil. Now let's look at convergence and recoil angle. Pistols have amazing convergence compared to other weapon types. Where most rifles range between 1 and 2, pistols start at 5 and go even higher. This means that rapid single shots with the pistol is actually reasonably effective, as the sights will have snapped back into alignment by the time you next pull the trigger, if you get the pacing right. Recoil angle here is generally straight up or slightly to the right, with the notable exception of the Colts, one of which is significantly off to the right by the whole 20 degrees, which could take some getting used to after building up muscle memory with the other pistols. Lastly, we have the camera recoil. The numbers here are as you would expect, with the exception of the PB pistol, which also has top tier camera recoil despite otherwise average stats. Again, it's easy to see why players rate the 5.7 and the PL15 so highly. Alright, so the pistol's final rankings. I'm sure you'll have known it or guessed it already, but the 5.7 is simply the best pistol by a wide margin. With great ammo and magazine size of 20, amazing stats, modification potential, and the best iron sights, it takes the crown at first place. Next up is the USP. It might be 45 ACP, but it only kicks slightly more than the average 9mm pistols while also having better convergence. 45 ACP hits like a truck, even with the AP rounds, you'll be blacking limbs in one shot. This could prove to be the advantage you need in a disparate situation, as if you can get your opponent limping, their ability to kill you is severely compromised. The standard 45 ACP match round is no slouch either. It also has a decent mag size at 12 and good options for modding. Third is the shrimp, which might surprise you as I haven't mentioned it up until this point, because the stats are aggressively average. What isn't average about this weapon is the ammo it uses. The BT round will handily go through class 4 armor and with 63 damage a shot will black limbs as well. With 18 shots to the magazine, that's a lot of damage, and gives you the flexibility to go for heads, thorax, or even legs depending on the situation. Modding is limited, but you can get a laser, a sight, and a suppressor on it if you want to. In fourth, we have a tie between the PL-15 and the Glock 17. The 18 as well, I suppose. The PL-15 is the best of the 19x19 pistols, but by the time you get access to it, you could just be using the 5.7 or the USP instead. And if you want a very good 9mm pistol, the Glock is right there. Speaking of, the Glock 17 is only slightly behind in stats, is available from the start of the wipe where it might actually be useful, and you can get extended magazines for it, which might be of interest if you don't plan on bringing any spares for your sidearm. However, focusing only on the top end of the list would cause us to miss a few honourable mentions, in no order of importance. First is the cheapest silent pistol, the Makarov PB. It is also the cheapest silenced weapon in the game, which makes it a good choice for, say, budget nighttime woods stash runs, where you're only planning on maybe fighting scavs and want to keep as much weight for loot as possible. An alternative situation is bringing in a cheap silenced weapon when running loud on your primary so that you can send oblivious scavs to oblivion without alerting the rest of the lobby where you are or what weapon you have. Next is the 1911. It's a real monster at the start of a wipe because 45 ACP has 25 pen, which means that it will go right through the packer and even have a decent chance versus class 3. And with 76 damage, it will blow off limbs, 2-tap thorax, cause a lot of radiating damage from black limbs, and that means that, for example, you shoot someone in the arm twice, the first shot will take off the limb, the next one will be a black radiating hit, and then you hit them in the thorax, it's a kill. This is quite a bit more than what you would get with, say, a 9mm pistol. This damage might be the edge which allows you to claw victory from the jaws of defeat when you and an opponent are both injured after the start of the fight. So, last is just to highlight my personal pick for the best overall pistol, the Glock 17. It's available from day one of the wipe. The magazines are a good size, the default sights are great, the stats are only bested by the top 3 pistols, and you can get a laser and light for it immediately, which lets you stick to point fire and keep the movement advantage for others who need to ADS. So if I ever need to have a pistol for any given kit, I go with a Glock. Alright, so that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'm sure you know what's coming. Like the video, it really helps out. Subscribe for more upcoming content. And please comment below with any feedback or suggestions that you might have. I'm all ears for it. And with that, until next time, see ya.